Okay guys, today we're going to be taking another look at Cardano, and we're going to be talking about something that could have huge implications for the adoption of the Cardano blockchain and the price discovery of ADA. As we get into this guys, if you find it useful and informative, do go ahead and hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. If you're new, make sure that you have subscribed, hit the bell, tapped on all notifications, and you won't miss another Cardano update. Right, with this said, let's get on and get into what is going on here with Cardano. So obviously some rumors have been flying around most recently, talking about how the EU may be having some kind of partnership or some kind of deal with Cardano. And obviously we're going to get into that in a moment to see what's actually going on there. What is this all about? And what could we actually see happen with Cardano and the EU? So right now, let's just recap where we are in terms of the entire journey. Obviously, Cardano has a pretty substantial roadmap in front of it. Currently, we are in the Shelley era, and this era is all about that decentralization. We are halfway through, probably ushering in those smart contracts, and ultimately that Alonzo has moved on now from blue to white, and purple is next. This means that we'll be slowly starting to see the smart contract functionality actually hit the mainnet, and this is going to be a huge milestone. Even though there are some people out there betting against Cardano, specifically in actually launching the smart contract functionality, I disagree with that kind of behavior. I think that ultimately, when Cardano actually does get these smart contracts rolled out, you're not going to have the same problems that you've seen time and time again with bad code. This is why we have a test net. This is why we test things thoroughly before they actually go onto the main net. So hopefully we won't see any of those issues that Ethereum was having in the early stages, for example. Obviously, when 𝗗𝗀𝗀𝗰𝗍 era is ushered in, that's going to see all that smart contract functionality, and we're going to start seeing a migration of dApps from Ethereum and probably other blockchains as well over to the Cardano ecosystem. This is something that Charles Hoskinson has been speaking quite a bit about and shouldn't be anything new. There's about 100 or so companies that have expressed interest, lined up and ready to convert. This is obviously to ensure that those businesses are running at the optimal level. Running a dApp on Ethereum these days is a bit bonkers, considering you're paying well over the odds for a worse service. So why pay for dial-up when you can have broadband? So ultimately that's what you're going to get here with Cardano. But of course, above and beyond all of that, you are also going to see new projects that have been built specifically for the Cardano ecosystem. New dApps covering new kind of DeFi projects through to DEXs and all sorts. These are going to be fantastic in themselves, and are also going to help drive the adoption of the Cardano ecosystem. So everyone is pretty stoked for the 𝗗𝗀𝗀𝗰𝗍 era, and I am too. And I think ultimately we're going to see some pretty cool stuff happen here on the Cardano ecosystem towards the later end of the year. Obviously, after we have that smart contracts on the mainnet, the main focus then will become scaling. And when we talk about scaling, we're going to be talking about how you are able to run countries and potentially even the EU on Cardano's ecosystem. After we have the scaling, we go to governance, and of course, lots of fantastic work has been going on with that as well. So obviously, let's just roll back 1 second and really talk about this scalability. Obviously, with scalability, we're really talking about the Cardano scalability solution that is Hydra. With Hydra, what you're getting here is 1,000 transactions per second per validator. And for anyone who doesn't yet know, Cardano is the world's most decentralized network. We are going to see well over 1 million transactions per second with this solution. The first prototype of this solution is expected to be underway in Q4 of this year. So some interesting things are going to be on the horizon, and obviously this solution is absolutely critical when we talk about running countries on Cardano. As we saw with everything Cardano Africa, starting off with Ethiopia, we're going to see that education system get transformed on the Cardano ecosystem. Obviously, we're talking about those digital identities, those DIDs, if you will, that ultimately are going to be the backbone of everything that is Cardano at the end. And this is where we really get into the speculation of what's being spoken about right now. There's lots of talk about this EU and Cardano deal or partnership that's on the horizon potentially. Nothing has been confirmed though. What we're really talking about is this particular Reddit right here, are Cardano and 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗘𝗧𝗪 developing an EU identity solution? This has obviously been picked up by several different YouTubers and has been communicated out quite a bit now. But obviously nothing has been set in stone, so I thought I would do a little bit of digging to see exactly what is going on. So as we actually get into basically the EU website here, they obviously have a Euro system launching the Digital Euro project. And this is what ultimately the speculation is about. It's about, is the Digital Euro actually going to be on the Cardano ecosystem? And again, this is something that is backed up by a proposal that was actually put forward to the EU back in May of this year. Using the Cardano network for the digital euro will enable a secure, peer-reviewed, stable, interoperable, and sophisticated currency for all. Cardano supports native tokens and is accepted and used by some African governments. It is developed with lots of research, over 100 papers, to get a fundamental good network to be used for generations. So this is an interesting proposal that has been put forward. And again, this is all about that digital euro, but it doesn't really end just with the digital euro from the EU point of view. There's so many things that actually are required. And this is something that obviously we have seen with the Ethiopian deal. And this comes down to those DIDs, right? That digital identity. With a digital identity running on the Cardano ecosystem and the digital euro running on the Cardano ecosystem, you're going to potentially see lots of interoperable ways, right? Because ultimately, if we start seeing these CBDCs or these stable coins, which ultimately are the threat of CBDCs, popping up all over the world, and specifically we just talk about the European countries, we need to have something, or at least the EU want to have something that actually kind of connects them all together. And this is where the Cardano ecosystem could be really beneficial to the EU. So ultimately, if you have the digital euro built on one of the world's most decentralized network with so many dApps built upon it, and one that is so easily interoperable with other chains, i.e. we have the EVM, for example, and I'm sure we're going to see many other bridges get built. This is something that obviously is going to be a very attractive proposition to many in the space. There is, of course, one big clear competitor when it comes to Cardano and the EU deal. This has to be VeChain. And when we start thinking about what VeChain can do, it's not all too dissimilar to that of Cardano. The main differences are really that it's an enterprise-based blockchain. It obviously is the only 5-star blockchain in the world. So you have two kind of real powerhouses really coming together. I would say that Cardano ecosystem might actually just edge that of the VeChain's ecosystem, but both would be doing pretty good, stellar things for connecting the European countries together, both from the public sector and obviously private, because those two things have to be also interoperable. So what VeChain has been doing with its dual token system, you obviously have the gas token and obviously the currency token, the ability to run smart contracts, and obviously touching many different industries. It is obviously another clear player. But as I said, the only 5-star rated TERV rating, I should say, blockchain service provider in the world. Also, from a European point of view, considering TERV is based in Germany, it obviously has got a lot of credibility to it. So when we start thinking about Cardano potentially having this as well, and also potentially being the system that the digital euro gets built upon, that is fantastic. But we also have to consider some of the other things that are also running in the background from an EU point of view. And this has to be, of course, that EU digital COVID certificate. Now, this particular certificate, I don't think is actually running on chain at all, but we have obviously seen very similar dApps running on the VeChain network. So if this is something that the EU want to continue to roll with and make enabled across many of the EU countries, then VeChain might be the solution for them. So we have to be mindful of everything that's going on. And here is a list of all the countries in technical testing phase being completed, technically ready to connect and effectively connected. So here we can see all of these countries here are effectively connected. We actually scroll down to one of these non-EU related countries that is running on VeChain for this particular example, San Marino just here. Now, obviously, it has tested everything out. It has technically been ready, but it's pending joining the connection or being connected to their system. Now, this is obviously because they're running their own independent VeChain based COVID certificate system, right? And it is on-chain. So the question you have here is this one next? Or are any of these also going to hop on over to becoming on-chain? So when we think about what the EU are trying to achieve across multiple different fronts, we'd obviously have to see something very similar when it comes to Cardano. So obviously Cardano does have this digital identity system. This is what's going to be created over in Ethiopia. So this is something that can translate over to the EU very well. So all of this could quite easily run on Cardano's ecosystem, and you could have no need for VeChain. So with this being in our minds and knowing that a proposal has already been put forward for Cardano, and we know that they are trying to get a digital euro up and running, everything for Cardano at the moment is seeming to come up quite nicely. So we have to be mindful that nothing has been set in stone, nothing has actually been confirmed, but this would be pretty big news to kind of bring all of those European countries together and run a digital euro and a digital identification system, and maybe even a vaccine certificate based system on the Cardano ecosystem. If this does go ahead and does actually happen, the adoption would be off the charts. It would make Ethiopia look like an absolute tiny little deal in comparison to what is going on here with the EU. So if this were to happen, this would be absolutely massive news for the adoption of Cardano, and absolutely massive for the price expectation and price discovery of ADA token as well. Guys, hopefully you have found this video useful and informative. If you have, then do go ahead and hit that like button. I really appreciate it. If you're new, then do go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and tap on all notifications, and you won't miss another video. Guys, with this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.